Imperial Agents at a tournament and doing well? It is possible. Did I do well? And how could I have done so well if indeed I did do well? Let's find out. There were 5 battles, and conveniently, all of them were against aliens, and I was bringing a lot of Deathwatch. Deathwatch veterans and the Aquila kill team get full rerolls to hit against aliens. That definitely helped. My friend had asked me to go with them to their first tournament, partly so they're not going alone, and partly so they had someone they knew to ask about rules. They had been out of 40k for a while and brought their most recently bought models. Scout snipers, 2 land speeders, bike squads. It had been a while, as I say, but these units have rules in the Space Marine faction pack. This was a tournament that allowed legends. Oh, legends mentioned, look out, we're losing viewers, deploy manly competitive images to balance it out. I realize I am very easy to kidnap. Set up a tournament that allows legends and I will turn up to whichever abandoned industrial estate you want. That is what made me want to take Imperial Agents. With legends units bulking out their roster, it makes the agents into more of an army. They have more tools to function. We're not throwing over 100 police officers at the problem and hope it goes away. I have a video on all the agents legends you can peruse for your favorites, so this... What about my friend? What friend? This isn't about them. This is about me. But they got 1 win with their white scars and I'm super proud of them. So this is what I included in my army list. Despite the number of Deathwatch units, I didn't choose the Ordo Xenos Alien Hunters. That is pretty similar to the Adeptus Astartes Black Sphere Task Force, but like the Purgatus tactics activates on a critical wound rather than a critical hit, so if you have a weapon with devastating wounds, or you fire Hellfire shells at an enemy unit, all of those critical wounds will go on the enemy character. That isn't actually useful Purgatus tactic. Yeah, the Ordo Xenos Alien Hunters, it's much too similar to the Black Spear Task Force for my liking, and it's a little bit worse. You can only teleport 1 unit, and if the whole point of the detachment is the teleportation rather than the special ammunition, you would be better off playing the Black Spear Task Force, in which case I'll be playing Adeptus Astartes, and I'm playing Imperial Agents, so like many competitive Imperial Agents players, I picked the Imperialis fleet. We pick an enemy unit, and we get +1 to hit against that enemy unit for all of our agents of the Imperium units. Or we can pick an objective marker to defend, then we get improved leadership and objective control, and we get a 5+ invulnerable save while we're on that. I only ever use the eliminate at all costs option. I used Emperor's Will to advance and shoot. With a unit of breaches, I use close quarters barrage, so they can get a little bit more strength and a little bit more armor penetration. Displacer Field is a wonderful stratagem because the enemy shoots you, you get a 4+ invulnerable save, and after that enemy unit has finished shooting, you can move. That lets you get closer to the enemy, or it lets you hide behind a building. And if there was anything else that could attack you, you keep that 4+ invulnerable save. The drawback is you need a character in the unit, so you can't do it to just any unit, but almost all my important units had characters. And last was Violent Acquisition. That I usually used on the Watchmaster, so it was 1 command point cheaper, and I use it in the combat phase, then I have sustained hits and lance. It's kind of a 2-in-1 stratagem. If you do it in the combat phase, it's sustained hits and lance. If you do it while shooting, it's ignore cover and sustained hits. That's a good space-saving stratagem. It's just a shame it's 2 command points. And you have to do it on an enemy in range of an objective marker. So the army is led by a Watchmaster. He reduces the cost of stratagems used on that unit by 1 once per battle round. The unit can advance and charge, and advance and shoot. And he had the very important Clandestine Operations enhancement that allows me to infiltrate 3 Imperial Agents infantry units at the start of the game, excluding Grey Knight Terminators. But I had some big scary Deathwatch that wanted to start the game a lot closer to them. The Watchmaster led an Aquila kill team. This is the Imperial Agents equivalent of the Decimus kill team. They have like a 3 out of 5 on ranged attacks and a 3 out of 5 in combat, whereas the veteran kill team is like a 5 out of 5 in combat and a 2 out of 5 in shooting. The Aquila kill team rarely sees play, but when infiltrating you can use their decent guns to clear enemy screening units and then charge the real enemy behind. Because they can infiltrate, they work better than their parallel Deathwatch Decimus kill team, which rarely sees play, except I suggest using them in the Bastion Task Force. This unit of 10 had 2 shields and mauls, which gives me a 4+ invulnerable save when needed, outside of the Displacer Field stratagem, which is limited to the shooting phase, and the power weapons are really good. 4 attacks with sustained hits and damage 2. Any models that had the Heavy Thunderhammer, I saved for the Veteran kill team, and the Proteus kill team. I had 2 snipers instead of plasma weapons, because if I face Kroot, Imperial Guard, or Necrons that have 3 to 4 wound characters with a poor save, I can kill them with my 4 damage 2 shots from the 2 snipers. The plasma gun is tempting, I know, and I have that model I made from a tournament trophy, but the snipers have worked better for me so far. Rather than tiny knives, I have 2 basic bolters, or basic Deathwatch bolters, strength 5, AP -1, marksman carbine bolters with lethal hits and heavy. Heavy doesn't come up. We always want to be moving, especially when this unit can advance and shoot and advance and charge. For the big guns, I chose the frag cannons. The heavy bolter version of the Aquila kill team is not as good as the Decimus kill team version. It's lacking 1 point of damage, it's damage 2 rather than damage 3. But the frag cannons in the Aquila kill team hit on a 3+ compared to on a 4+ in the Veteran kill team. And we still have heavy, so we can hit on a 2+. And we get an extra point of armor penetration. And we have lethal hits. The frag cannons are just so much better in the Aquila kill team than being put on the Veteran kill team. Because we infiltrate, because we want to be moving up close, the frag cannons will be able to get into double shot range, the rapid fire D3 range. And these big lads are useful because they have 3 wounds, so they're good to put the last damage 2 shot against. Captain Artemis is leading another unit. Even though he only gets back up on 1 wound, he is annoying to have to put down a second time. He gives lethal hits to his unit. The Aquila kill team doesn't really benefit as they have lethal hits on almost all of their ranged weapons anyway. So he joins 10 Deathwatch veterans. They're called the Deathwatch kill team in Agents, but that is going to get confusing. So, like in the Deathwatch Space Marine Index, they will be referred to as Deathwatch veterans. There are 4 hammers and 2 Infernus heavy bolters, so that along with Captain Artemis's Hellfire Flamer, there's a decent Overwatch option. Artemis's kill team is the second unit to be infiltrating. The third unit to be infiltrating is the Proteus kill team, the first Legends unit. They were in the Deathwatch Index version 1, then they went to Imperial Agents Legends when the Imperial Agents Codex came out, and they didn't return to the Deathwatch for Index version 2 in December 2024. They're very scary when they're close up, and they're very hard to deal with. The unit is toughness 5, because we have 4 Terminators and 1 bike and 5 Deathwatch veterans, and if half the unit has 1 toughness, half has another, you use the highest toughness. That's the kill team rule for these kill teams. That overrides the core rule of always using the highest toughness. There's a lot of wound shenanigans available. One of the Terminators has a Storm Shield, so they have 4 wounds. The Biker has 3 wounds, the other Terminators have 3 wounds, the kill team veterans have 2 wounds. Whatever damage you have, I have an inconvenient place to put it. And ideally, I would like to keep up having a toughness of 5. But that's only recalculated after 1 enemy unit has finished making their attacks. The shooting is covered by 3 Cyclone missile launchers and 3 Storm Bolters on 3 of the Terminators. And then for combat, we have 4 Deathwatch Thunderhammers and a guy with a shield and a sword. You can have 4 hammers because the number of Thunderhammers is calculated for a unit of 10, and it's models in the unit, not the number of kill team veterans in the unit. Although I could have had another ranged weapon like an Infernus Heavy Bolter or Frag Cannon instead of the shield and sword guy. Having a 4+ invulnerable save gives me somewhere that isn't a Terminator to apply high damage, high AP attacks. This is a Legends unit and not Space Marine Deathwatch anymore. So if I want to use this unit, I have to play Imperial Agents. Adeptus Astartes armies cannot include Imperial Agents Deathwatch in their army. The only exception is Kill Team Cassius. But as they have Imperial Agents keyword and Imperial Agent rules, they really only work with Imperial Agents. So I'm going to have Kill Team Cassius. They can deep strike. They're very average at shooting, but very good in combat. They have devastating wounds as long as the chaplain is alive, and a lot of damage to attacks. There's lightning claws that are twin-linked. That's good for devastating wounds. They can and have dealt with bigger threats like avatars, Catan shards, tanks smaller than a Land Raider. It maybe takes 2 turns, but they can get through these problem units. They're not an attached unit, but they are a character unit. So think of them similar to Saint Celestine and 2 Gemini, or an Imperial Guard command squad. It's a unit in itself, it's not an attached unit until you attach it to something else. Kill Team Cassius can't be attached to anything else, but it means that I can allocate wounds to the Chaplain Cassius, if need be. If the one Terminator in the unit is down and I really need another 4+ save, I can put it on Chaplain Cassius, but then I will lose the devastating wounds if he goes down. So that is 4 kill teams with different specializations. There's a Librarian and a Chaplain in Kill Team Cassius, and a Watch Captain supported by a Watchmaster. That is a lore-accurate watch company. Perfect for Imperial Agents. Go pure lore or go home and play a real army. But I need an Inquisitor. Draxus for the Ordo Xenos theme? Maybe. A regular Inquisitor? No, think bigger. Inquisitor Karamazov. Inquisitor Karamazov is important because he gives Scout to 3 units. It's only 1 Imperial Battle Line unit, or 3 Imperial Agents infantry units. And I'm going to Scout those 3 infiltrating units. Going first, move forward with the Aquila kill team, Proteus kill team, and the Veteran kill team. That makes charges easier in the first turn. Make a mess and tie up the enemy with a lot of marine bodies, or tougher in the case of the Proteus kill team, to stop them from scoring in the first turn, or onwards. If I don't get the first turn, I have my 3 units positioned to move behind cover or otherwise out of line of sight to be safer in turn 1. If any unit still could be seen after a 6-inch move, then I would have it be the Deathwatch Veterans with Captain Artemis, because then maybe I can do a useful Overwatch. Karamazov himself has a very useful triple melter, so think of him as a Space Marine Dreadnought, but with a better multi-melter and worse combat. Many people know me as, well, a few people know me as the Deathwatch person, more people know me as the Sisters of Battle person, so I'm gonna have Sisters of Battle squads. They give me very useful sticky objectives, and a melter gun, and a multi-melter, and 1 free reroll per game, per unit, usually on the damage roll of the melter weapons. So the Sisters can do important work. 1 unit starts in a Rhino to rapidly respond and fire 2 melter weapons from the firing deck. The other one starts on the home objective, get that stickied with Defenders of the Faith, and then we can start moving to the middle of the board. I could have had Kill Team Cassius as one of the infiltrating units and have Artemis and the Veteran Kill Team in the Rhino instead. Then the Rhino could drive up and be another wave of attacking troops. However, the 3 kill teams that are infiltrating and also scouting worked rather well, and I didn't think I needed to do this. What I did need was some unit that can get quickly to the center of the board and then complete an action. My infiltrators, apart from 1 other unit, are going forward. I wanted another unit that can get to the center of the board and complete something like Cleanse in the first turn. That extra unit that can infiltrate that isn't one of the kill teams using the enhancement is a squad of Navy Breachers with a Rogue Trader entourage. The Breacher models with shotguns were Genestealer cult models. See, the gang is all here. Agents, Sisters, Deathwatch, and Genestealer cult. This is why the Imperial Agents are fun. Such a diversity of models, it isn't confusing at all. But the cat was a dog. With backroom deals, that lets me have another infiltrating unit. This unit infiltrating. And there's a lot of wounds that can be sponged onto the characters. The medic then brings them back. And with some 4+ invulnerable saves, this unit can be difficult to shift. This army has a gimmick of being toughness 3, but with a 4+ invulnerable save. The Displacer Field stratagem is gain a 4+ invulnerable save and make a move. That is Imperial Agents. But this unit generally underperformed. With the Fleet Master enhancement, I can use Violent Acquisition, Masters of the Void, or Close Quarters Barrage for 0 command points, but these stratagems were not really important. The main job is to redeploy an unfortunately random D3 Imperial Agents battle line units. So I could move the veterans with hammers in front of tanks, or refuse a flank if it looked too scary, having denied enemy infiltrators the chance to deploy there. At the best roll, I could move the Aquila kill team, Deathwatch veterans, and the Navy Breachers around if need be. It's battle line units only, so I can't do anything to the Proteus kill team. If I was playing again with Legends, I would recommend having the cheaper Janus Drake instead of a whole entourage, and join a small Voidsman unit instead of a Navy Breacher squad. Then I have another small squad that can work the objectives, while the Proteus kill team ahead of them holds back or kills the enemy. And obviously what happened there was the Deathwatch figured it out and couldn't tolerate the presence of Genestealer Cult. The other units are there to complete secondary missions and hold the primary mission. An Imperial Agent squad with a multi-melter servitor, that's just a cheap unit. I called them Imperial Agents, didn't I? Inquisitorial Agents, they're just so badly named. Inquisitorial Acolytes would be a better name for the unit, instead of Inquisitorial Agents in Imperial Agents. There's 6 Voidsmen, well, 5 Voidsmen and a dog. Stop bothering me, dog, was a cry that came up often. Damned Xenos dog botherers. Stop shooting at my lovely dog unit. I might take the dog off as a casualty, you don't know. You could cause some serious emotional scarring. And the Rhino that the Battle Sister started in could also transport around the Voidsmen and the Inquisitorial Agents if need be. The last unit in my army I wasn't super happy with, it was Grey Knight Terminators. Now, they can't infiltrate, but they are solid to get through. And they deep strike so they can be in the center of the board where I need them as a second line. Only a depleted enemy should be able to get through the Deathwatch squad, and they will struggle against Terminators that have Objective Control 3 with the banner, and regenerate a model in each of my turns. You can't easily kill them. The Apothecary brings models back so you can't destroy them slowly, and you can't outscore them because they are Objective Control 15. I could have had another kill team, like a Spectre's kill team for more infiltrating, but I wanted to have a lore-accurate watch company. There are only 4 kill teams in a watch company. Or why not have 2 assassins like a Calidus assassin to hop around and complete missions? I'm going to be in the enemy deployment zone pretty quickly anyway, and if the enemy is in Deathwatch jail, there won't be much space for my Calidus. That's where the enemy army is going to be. And I have other, less fragile units to hold the central objectives. The Calidus is easier to kill and can only be in one place. I have enough units completing missions in the Sisters, the Rhino, the 2 small squads of 6. And since the Grey Knights can deep strike in the middle of the board and keep up the pressure as a second wave if one of the kill teams went down, that's a good role for them, or they can be immovable on an objective. Other ideas I've had but not quite settled on if I'm going to take them out is to have a Navigator and 2 deep striking Voidsman units. Use the Combat Landers enhancement, but that brings up the same problem of I already have enough deep striking unit and I already have enough units in my enemy's deployment zone. Or I could have had an Armiger and something for 55 points, or have a Deathwatch Terminator Legends unit. But that felt like Grey Knight Terminators, but in different coloured armour, and they're not doing the same job. There's the option to have 1 or 2 Armigers instead of the Grey Knights and something else, but I find Armigers relatively easy to kill at 2,000 points, and they are not the best at taking out enemy tanks. 2 Strength 12 shots at AP-4 and D6 damage is a bit better than a couple of las cannons, but between the Deathwatch veterans, the Proteus kill team, and kill team Cassius, I can take down tanks well enough. If I face tanks, I hit them with hammers until they go away. An Inquisitor Karamazov's triple melter is also of use in hurting vehicles. The Deathwatch are the punch, everything else tries to hold on. I don't want to swap parts of either with Armigers. So although I'm not perfectly happy with them, I don't know what exactly to switch out the Grey Knights with. Bearing in mind I'll be saving some points by swapping out the Rogue Trader Entourage and Navy Breaches for Janice Drake and some Voidsmen. No need for the Fleetmaster enhancement. It's something to think on for next time, if I can find another Legends allowing tournament, and I want to take Imperial Agents to it. Yeah, probably drop the Entourage and the Breaches, drop the Grey Knight Terminators, and have 2 Armigers, 1 of each kind. The Warglaive to have a go at melting and stabbing vehicles, the Helverin to inconvenience enemy units by suppressing them to be -1 to hit for all of their hit rolls. The Imperial Agents have a great range of units for like several factions. If you want to buy any of them, I have affiliates in the description. There you can get discounted models compared to buying them through Games Workshop. Don't buy them through Games Workshop, that's too expensive. So before I go over the games I played, this is the army list again. A Watchmaster with Clandestine Operation leading a 10-man Aquila kill team, Captain Artemis leading 10 Deathwatch veterans, a Rogue Trader Entourage with the Fleetmaster enhancement leading 10 Navy Breaches, a 10-man Proteus kill team, 4 Terminators, 1 bike, 5 veterans, the 11-man kill team Cassius, Inquisitor Karamazov, 6 Inquisitorial Agents, 2 squads of 10 Sisters of Battle squad. They're not Adeptus Sororitas this time. 1's in a Rhino, 6 Voidsmen at Arms, and 5 Grey Knight Terminators. The playstyle is relatively simple. It's a lot of pressure from tough and dangerous Deathwatch units, while the small agent units hold objectives and complete secondary missions that are not about killing. This is termed a jail list. It locks the opponent into one part of the board where they can't score victory points, while I can. Hopefully I can hold them back long enough and deplete enough of their forces that they can't kill me and then outscore me by the end. My first opponent was really nice and had definitely gotten into the theme of Legends. It was a Necron army with the cool centipede, the Canoptek Tomb Sentinel. That's now in Legend. They had the Geomancer from the Kill Team 2 World set, so I was like, oh, you got those models. I got the Deathwatch side of that. And as an ally choice, more Legends units, unaligned, there were several cheap Spindle drones and Guardian drones from the Blackstone Fortress board game to complete primary and secondary missions for them. Although not particularly amazing, the Guardian drone is difficult to take down for their points. And this is thematic as allies for the Necrons. Really nice army, really nice player. We were on a quarters deployment, and I went second. I had the two flanking objectives from the start because I could infiltrate, and seeing the concentrated build-up in the center of Necrons, I decided to scout backwards with the Proteus kill team. In their first turn, the Necrons went for the center, and I counterattacked with Inquisitor Karamazov and that Proteus kill team. Karamazov fought the big Centipede Tomb Sentinel, which is not as good in combat as it is shooting, although Karamazov himself is not as good in combat as he is with shooting, and I was able to charge Karamazov just off the objective so that the Tomb Sentinel couldn't get +1 armor penetration against me. And its own 4+ invulnerable save was already enough to cap my own armor penetration. It was quite an epic duel, the two of them, and it only ended when the Tomb Sentinel fell back and I then shot it with triple melter. My left flank was secured by Battle Sisters that drove up in the Rhino, sticky objectives once they get out, and the Watchmaster's Aquila kill team on that flank swept into the Necron home objective with the Geomancer. Sustained hits and lance on all of the weapons in combat did well. Although the Proteus kill team in the center was slightly slowed by the Canoptek macrosites, cool, weird little creepy units, it wasn't slowing them down the way I was able to then slow down the advance of the Necron army. I held them in the center, and they couldn't break me. On the right, Captain Artemis had a bit more problem with all of the little Spindle drones and walkers, and the Grey Knight Terminators went in to help them. That was my first victory. My second game was against Votann with a lot of the Jaegers and the Terminator types. The Hearthguard, toughness 5, 2+ save, but with 2 wounds instead of 3. They deployed a Jaeger squad first, which denied me from setting up an infiltrating unit on the right flank. I went second and chose to scout backwards with my 3 infiltrating units. The Aquila kill team was set up so that if the Proteus kill team was charged, the Watchmaster could use his free command point to heroically intervene with the unit. But they weren't charged, they were shot. This was a rather hard fight, and it was tiring to play, because my opponent was very confident in the rules and sometimes very wrong. He said he was learning the army, which, yeah, to give the benefit of doubt, sounds about right. But he was also very confident in the matchup. Imperial Agents, he said. I guess you don't expect to win any games today, he said, forgetting that if we were playing against each other, then I must have won my first game. I don't remember anything interesting or super fun happening, but the plan worked. I kept the slow-moving Votann in their deployment zone. Kill Team Cassius and the Grey Knights used Deep Strike to move in on turn 3 to keep up the pressure, and all the small Imperial Agents units scored victory points. And so I won. Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. Know your place, Xenos. Doubting the Imperial Agents can win. Look who beat you. Obviously, I did not say this to their face. Then I had a well-needed break while the other players finished their games. Game 3 was the final game of that first day. I was against the Leagues of Votann again, but this time, rather than fighting the Persecution prospect which slowed my units down, I fought the Delve Assault Shift. This is the Berserker detachment. Berserkers are battle line and can deep strike. Because I could infiltrate with 3 units, 3 chunky kill teams, and the entourage with the Navy breaches, I controlled the center and the leftmost objective from the start of the game to the very end. I went first, and although, as I think in my previous game, the Proteus kill team kept failing their charges, the missiles from the Terminators killed some Berserkers. There was no fallback and charge for the Votann, which was bad for them. And once the Battle Sisters arrived in their Rhino to hold the left flank, The Aquila kill team that can advance and shoot and advance and charge with the Watchmaster very slowly waded through Jaegers and deep striking Berserkers to the center of the board where most of the fighting was happening. A last Berserker from a squad broke past the Proteus kill team on the right and looked ready to take the right objective, as the Navy breaches that were meant to be holding that flank had wilted under the most basic of Votan firepower. So I deep struck in the Grey Knights and they sat on the objective, and there was nothing the remaining Berserker could do against the Terminator's objective control. The Nemesis Force weapons at Strength 6, AP-2 and Damage 2 are the perfect weapon to kill Toughness 5, 5+ save, 1 wound and 4+ feel no pain Berserkers. I just don't know why these Terminators have lethal hits only on the charge. You could have just stuck it on the weapon, but Games Workshop seems to think that every unit needs to have some special rule. And they don't. The left flank was uncontested. The center of the battlefield I was able to hold as I threw in Kill Team Cassius, and in this absolute mess of Berserkers and Space Marines, Kill Team Cassius, the Veteran Kill Team, and the Aquila Kill Team all have objective control too, which meant that I was able to control the central objective for the whole game. Eventually, after 5 turns, I was able to win out that central massive horrible fight. The Proteus kill team did walk very slowly into the enemy deployment zone, fight off some Votan Steeljacks, and then sort of made up, but not really, made up for their previous bad charges by making a 10-inch charge into the artillery that was on the enemy home objective. All Votan wiped out, many victory points scored. So I reached the end of day 1 very happy, as all games had been won, and unless I've given away the result in the thumbnail, perhaps I can go all the way and have a 100% victory. At the very least, the Imperial Agents are on a 60% win rate. Game 4 was Votan. Again. So quite the crusade against them. I'm starting to understand yield points, or YIP, as the furries seem to call it. This was the Oathband Detachment, which, if you've played against Votan at some point earlier in the edition, you'll recognize it as a normal way to play Votan. This was the Hidden Supplies mission, so there are 6 objectives on the board. I still thought I have enough units to hold all of those objectives if need be. Because although you only need to hold 2 objectives, you also need to hold more objectives than your opponent. So if you have 4 of them, that's more than your opponent can control. I went first. There were Jaegers infiltrating on one flank in a ruin, but they died to my advance and charge with the Watchmaster and the Deathwatch Aquila kill team unit. But in turn 2, they didn't fare so well against the free overwatch of the Steeljacks. They failed their 4-inch charge, and I had to use a command point, although free with the Watchmaster, to re-roll it. The Deathwatch with Captain Artemis barely made a charge against the heck of a ton land fortress, and they couldn't all pile in. Some of them had to pile into nearby Berserkers. Even with Artemis giving them lethal hits, none of which were rolled on the hammers, and there were no devastating wounds from the hammers or the Xenophase blade. The land fortress survived on 1 wound. The Proteus kill team was meant to go with them, but also failed their charge. Again, this unit wasn't doing well on the charges. And after the Watchmaster had used command reroll, I couldn't use command reroll again in the same charge phase. That was a problem I had. Another thing I had was I need to make my intentions clearer for units and ask, can you move and see this unit behind here? Because I wasn't aware of how fast some of these dwarf vehicles could move. I had the Breachers and the Rogue Trader charge 5 Votan Hearth basic warriors, and 2 of them passed their 6-up feel no pain and survived on the objective, enough to score it, because a small unit of Berserkers had heroically intervened to stop me from consolidating onto the objective. I just needed them all dead, and the 1 Breacher that was there would keep the objective for me. That was unusual luck, but what really finished the game off, I used Rapid Ingress on Kill Team Cassius, a big squad of Votan Terminator types with the Lieutenant type. That's an Einherjar champion with an Einherjar Hearthguard if you are in the Votan know, as I am apparently after 3 games against them. Know the alien, kill the alien. They had landed and shot my sisters, so I was using Rapid Ingress to get close so I could destroy them. My home objective was sticky because of the sisters and remained mine, but this unit was poised to wreak havoc on my Proteus kill team with all their plasma nonsense. So Cassius's team was going to go deal with them. I set up 11 inches away behind a ruin, right up against the wall so I didn't become the target of their guns. The plan was I could move, And with the old Cassius movement shenanigans, whip out my biker and go for a 2-inch charge. That biker is infantry keyword, same as the rest of the unit, so can move through the walls. I wasn't going to fail another key charge. But the Votann player was like, yeah, I declare a charge. Sure, I need an 11, and rolled a 12. Well, Emperor forgive me, but I opened my eyes so wide it could be classified as moe. This squat little, squat was speeding towards me. My 4-inch charge, oh, not so sure, Chief. Ooh, yeah, that's gonna be a difficult one. Gonna have to re-roll that. Their 12-inch charge, no problem. I had the movement shenanigans. I could have been over 12 inches away. At 12.1 inches, I can't legally be declared the target of a charge. You can only declare targets that are within 12 inches, even though you have 1-inch engagement range, so 12.1 would sort of be in range if you'd rolled a 12, but you can't declare them as a charge target. It wasn't just the dice. I could have very easily avoided unlikely situations, but I thought after I'd only narrowly succeeded these really short charges, let's not make the next charge with Kill Team Cassius too difficult. Let's make it so I can get within 2 inches as a charge roll. Cassius's team held up pretty well, and over the rest of the game they killed all of the Hearthguard, but it should have been over in one decisive charge with +1 to hit from the detachment rule, not this long slog to get rid of them. In the game I did pretty well on primary, but there were still enough small Votann units, like the small 3 Votann units with conversion beamer on stilts, the Thunderkin, and there was the small transports that could get rid of my small Imperial Agent unit, so I couldn't score many secondary points. Stop bothering me, dog! But my Inquisitorial agents survived. They survived every game, so they could write up a very thorough report. So there was my first loss. We're not going 5-0 with Imperial Agents. Unsurprisingly. And my 5th game was against Orcs. Really lovely player. I was lucky that all of these games were against aliens to get the full rerolls to hit on the Aquila and the veteran kill teams. This alien force was the Green Tide Detachment of Orcs. Loads of Orc boys. This is the only army list I can remember because it was so thematic. 4 squads of 20 Orc boys, 2 war bosses, a squad of big looters, 3 mech guns on the left, 3 Gretchen units that are screens to stop my charges in the first turn, and a squad of 10 knobs with a 3rd war boss. There was a Mecha Dread, which is a Legends unit that can heal itself, because it is a vehicle and a big mech, and the big mech can heal vehicles, and there were 2 Dakka Jets. So 100 Orc boys and knobs with Gretchen support. This time the battle map is especially accurate. Those square blocks of Orcs are accurate this time because they were on movement trays. I had Captain Artemis and his veterans on the left, the Watchmaster in the center, the Proteus kill team on the right, and Kill Team Cassius started on the board behind the Watchmaster. With so many Orc bodies, there was not going to be a lot of space to deep strike, and I would just end up deep striking in the middle of the board, so I might as well start on the table and move forward to that place in the first turn, rather than having to deep strike there in the second turn. I went first. The Aquila kill team did their job and cleared the Gretchen screen with their guns, and then charged 20 Orc boys in the center and started the massacre. On the left, Artemis and the veterans did the same. I was careful to position the units over 7 inches from the Orc boys because of their go-get-'em surge move. So I was setting up some, average charges. The Proteus kill team failed their 7-inch charge on the right. Obviously. The Voidsmen moved up to help, but they didn't kill more than 2 Orcs, even with their free stratagem of close quarters barrage, which ups the strength of their shotgun to 5, and improves the armor penetration, which didn't matter because the Orcs have a 5+ invulnerable save. All the time, Orc boys, this detachment, as long as there's more than 10 of them, they have a 5+ invulnerable save. Yeah, really underperforming unit. So I lost the right flank to the Orc boys. Their bulldozer brutality stratagem that means that models within 3 inches can attack me did do a lot of damage to the Proteus kill team. And the Gretchen were able to take the right objective from the Voidsman. Then in came the planes. The Dakka Jet shot up Artemis's kill team, very nasty, and then Artemis was shot down by a second Dakka Jet after he went and destroyed the Orc field guns. The big mech guns. But he got back up and moved on to the Orc home objective and terraformed it. Once you terraform the enemy home objective, they can't un-terraform that, because you cannot do the terraform action on your own home objective. You can only do it on the midboard and the enemy's home objective. So that objective was going to permanently be giving me victory points. A squad of Sisters of Battle then chased down that Dakajet and blew it up with their melter weapons. Cassius's team advanced and shot with the Emperor's Will, and then in the next turn, they charged the looters that had shot a lot of the Watchmaster's unit as they slogged their way through what was probably more than like 500 orcs. I am very glad I got the first turn. Seeing what happened on the right with the Proteus kill team falling pretty quickly, I wouldn't have liked that to happen across the board. And because orcs can only call the war at the start of their turn, not battle round, I was spared from having 5+ invulnerable save Gretchen, while the big orc mobs have the 5+ invulnerable save in that detachment all the time. It also spared me from having so many fight back attacks in the first turn, because orcs get more attacks in their war turn, so I could survive and get through 40 orc boys and 2 Gretchen squads with only a few wounds on the Gravis Marines, whose job it is to become damage sponges once we get into melee combat. They can't do much with their tiny knives. Aside from the Dakajets and on the right flank, the orcs didn't really get out of their deployment zone, and Inquisitor Karamazov and the Battle Sisters were able to contain the orcs and the Gretchen on the right flank. This was a final victory for the Imperial Agents. Going first in 3 out of 5 games helped a lot, and fighting aliens in every game so that 2 of my kill teams had full rerolls to hit was a great help. Now the Proteus kill team gets +1 to hit if the enemy is not below starting strength, meaning that I could put the eliminate at all costs from the detachment rule on the unit that kill team Cassius is attacking, and all 4 kill teams either had full rerolls to hit or +1 to hit. Perfectly planned, perfectly executed, apart from those charge rolls against the Votan. I didn't get into the top 3, but I got a mention in dispatches, which was nice. So you can win with Imperial Agents, and I hope that I have shown how you, with a good tactician, Legends units, relying on the Death Watch, going first, and only fighting aliens, well, Imperial Agents are OP. Games Workshop, please nerf. If you want to know more about Legends units, this video explains what they are and where you can use them, and it is far more socially acceptable than you think. My darlings and viewers, have a great day of 40k.